So hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the previous videos, we started exploring Node.js from the basics, but we are not just learning how to write Node.js code. So the goal of this course is to understand what is actually happening behind the scenes and how these things are used when we build our real backend applications. So in the previous videos, we worked with the process object and then moved into the crypto module. Then we saw things like process.env, command line arguments, random bytes, random UID, hashing, and then finally secure password hashing using the script. So if you have not watched those videos yet, I would recommend watching them first because we will continue from there. Now in today's video, we are going to look at two more built-in Node.js modules. The first one is the os module and the second one is the path module. So both of these modules are built into this Node.js, so just like the crypto module. So we don't need to install anything from the npm. So let's first start with the os module. So the os module, this name actually tells us a lot. So this os module allows our Node.js application to get information about the operating system where our application is currently running on. Okay, for example, we can find out which operating system we are using, or what architecture we are running on, or like how many CPU cores are available, or you can say how much memory the system has, what the user's home directory is, and a few other things. So let's see all of this in practically. First thing first, I'm going to import the os module first. I will say import os from the os module, okay, like this. Then I will check the operating system. For that, I am going to use log console.log and I will say os.platform, okay, and over here I will say npm run daily. So you can see this Darwin. So if you are following along with me on macOS, you will probably get this Darwin, or if you are a Windows user, you will get the Win32, or on Linux, you will get the Linux. Okay, so this is a very simple way of finding out which platform Node.js is running on. Now let's check the architecture. Okay, our CPU architecture. For that, we have this console.log os.arch. Okay, so because over here you can see this ARM64, because I'm using the Apple Silicon machine. So if you are using the same, you might get this ARM64, or if you are Windows user, you will get like the x64. Okay, so this os.arch, it basically tells us the CPU architecture that Node.js is running on. Okay, now let's check how many CPU cores are available in my machine. For that, we can use os.cpus. Okay, so this is a function, and I will use the length. Okay, so you can see this 8. So it actually means Node.js can see 8 logical CPU cores in my machine. So we can also print the complete CPU information. So I will copy this line. If I remove this length, so I will get the complete information, okay, about my CPU information. So if you will get quite a lot of information over here. So for now, I am mainly interested in the number of CPUs. So this kind of information can become useful later when we start talking about performance, or like the worker threads, clustering, or applications that perform CPU intensive operations. Now let's check the host name of our computer. For that, we can simply write console.log, then I will say os.hostname. So over here you can see this is my host name. Okay, so the output will depend on your machine. Okay, now imagine our backend application is running on multiple servers. Okay, so if we are logging the host name along with some application information, it can help us understand which particular server handled a request. So that is one example of where this information can be useful. Next, let's check the current user's home directory. For that, we have this console.log. Then I will say os.homedir. Okay. Oops, not like this. Okay. So this is my username, algobot 1210, and this is the users. Okay. So this is actually the home directory. So on Windows, it would look different because Windows uses a different path structure, and this is actually going to connect nicely with the second topic of today's video, which is the path module. So before we get there, let's look at one more thing, that we can also find the operating system's a temporary directory using the tmpdir. Okay. So I will copy this line. So I will change the home to temp. Okay, temp directory. Okay, temp, not like not temp, that is tmp. Yeah, that is okay. Over here you can see this. So the exact location will depend on your operating system. So the temporary directories are useful when an application needs to create temporary files that don't necessarily need to stay permanently inside the project. Now let's talk about the memory. So Node.js also allows us to check how much total memory is available on the system. For that, we can use something like this: console.log, and I will say os.totalmem. Okay, total memory, that is. So if you have something like this, so that is not very friendly for humans. So let's convert it into gigabytes. For that, let me first comment out this, and I will say over here const let's say total memory. Okay, total memory. Then I will say os dot total mem. Okay, then I will simply console.log this. With the help of this backticks, I will say total memory. Okay, I will use the append. I'm going to use the curly braces, and within I will use the parenthesis, and I will say this total memory. Okay, then I will divide it by 1024. Again I will divide it 1024, and then I will divide it again with 1024. Okay, and I will fixed to it let's say 2, and after that I will, let's say, GB. Okay, because we are converting it into the gigabytes. So the over here you can see the output. The total memory is 8 GB. Okay, so we can do the same thing with the currently available memory. For that, we can use the os.freemem. So let me first comment out this, and I will copy this. I will change this total mem to free memory. Okay, I will say free mem. Oops. Okay. So over here you can see this total memory is like something like 0.07 GB. Okay, so now we have some basic information about the machine where our Node.js application is running. Okay, now if I run this, all of this, let me uncomment all of this. Okay, and let me, not total memory, I will say total memory underscore 1. It's a free, I will say this is total memory and this is free memory. Okay, and I will copy this line. Then I will call this free memory. Okay, okay. So now if I run the application, I can immediately get some basic information about the machine. Okay, again, we are not going to build some huge application with this right now. So the goal here is to understand what Node.js gives us out of the box, and later when we work with the production level application or something like monitoring, performance, background jobs, or other backend concepts, we will understand why these APIs exist. Okay, now let's move to the path module. So the path module is something you will probably use much more frequently in backend development. So whenever we are working with like files and directories, we are dealing with paths. Maybe we have an uploads folder or images folder. Okay, maybe we are reading a configuration file, creating a log file. So in all of these situations, so we need to work with file paths. Okay, and one thing we don't want to do this manually, because build those paths using strings everywhere, it is very difficult. Okay, because different operating systems use different path separators. So that is where the path module comes in. Okay, so let me first uncomment this, all of this, and over here I will first import this. I will say import path from path module. Okay, so the first method I want to show you is the path.join. Okay, let's say we have an uploads folder. So let me first create this folder over here. I will create new folder, and I will name it as uploads. Okay, inside this folder I will create another folder. Let's say it is images, and now inside this images folder I will create a file, and I will say image, or let's say profile pic dot jp jpg, or let's say png. Okay, png. Okay, or you can use whatever you want. So we could technically write something like this: const, I will say const, let's say file path. Okay, I will say simply like this: uploads. Then I will access the images folder. Then I will access the uh, file name. Okay, that is profile underscore pic dot png. Okay, but that is not the best way to build paths. Okay, instead we can use something like this: const file path. Let me first comment out this. I will use this path dot join. Okay, and now inside this I will call this uploads, the main folder. Again this the folder name, that is the images folder, and the file name. Okay, I will simply copy this. So if I log this file path, okay, so Node.js will create the path using the correct separator for the operating system. So on Mac OS and Linux, you will normally see like this, okay? And on Windows, Node.js will handle the appropriate separator. Okay, so that is why this path.join is so useful. Now let's look at another method called path.resolve. I will copy this. Oops, not like this. I will copy this again. Then I will simply paste this and I will change the name to resolve. Okay. Then I will again log this file path. So instead of giving us just like something like the uploads images slash the profile picture dot or the file name, we will get an absolute path, something like this. Okay. So for example, on my machine, it might look something like this. So a simple, way to remember the difference is that path.join method is mainly used to, combine path segments, while this path.resolve helps us create an absolute path. Okay. Now let's imagine we already have a complete file path. For example, something like, let's say, let me first copy this line. I will comment out this. Let's say we have a file path, something like this. So what if we only want the file name? So we can use the method that is path.basename. For that, I will use console.log and I will say uh, path.basename and I will pass this file path. So you can see this over here, filepic.png. So this is particularly useful when we are dealing with uploaded files. Now, what if we want the directory or the directory instead? We can use the path.dir name or the directory name. Okay. So I will simply log this. Then I will use this path.dir name. Then I will pass this file path. So we will get something like this. Okay, so the base name, this method actually gives us the final part of the path, while this directory name only gives us the directory. Okay, now let's say I only want the file extension. For example, this file profilepic.png. So we can use this something like, let me copy this line. So this is path.dir name. I will change this to extension name, that is ext, and I will get this .png. So the extension something like jpj, then png, okay, then the web format, okay, that is the web page format, webp. Okay, so this is another method you will see quite often when working with files. For example, if a user uploads a file, we might want to check whether the extension is something like .jpg or .png or pdf, something like this, okay, or the .webp. So we can use this path.extname, and we also can use something like path.parse. So this is this one is the very pretty and very useful when you want to break a complete path into different pieces, something like this. Let me first comment out this, and then I will say const result. Then I will say path.parse, and I will simply, let me copy this, and I will simply pass this. Then I will console.log this result. So over here you can see this Node.js actually, it will give us an object containing information about the part, something like the root, the directory, the base, and the extension name, and the file name. Okay. So if you need multiple pieces of information from a path at once, so you can use this path.parse. So this, it is very useful, and there is also the opposite operation, that is the path.format. For example, let me copy this line, and I will say const file path. I think, okay, I have to comment out this line. Then I will say file path equals path dot format, and I will simply paste this. Let me format this. Then I will simply console.log this file path. So over here you can see this the folder name, again the folder name, and the file name. So you can think of this parse method as breaking a path apart, and this format method as putting those pieces together again. So there is one more small thing I want to show you, and it is called the path.separate. Let's print it. Log, let me first comment out this. I will say log console.log, and I will say path.sep, or the separate. So on Mac OS and Linux, you will normally see this, and on Windows, you will see something like this. So this is another reason why we should not randomly hard code path separators in our applications. Let Node.js handle that for us. Now let's make this a little more realistic. Imagine we are building a backend application where users can upload their profile images. Okay. So we might, have a folder called something like this uploads, and inside that we have an images folder, and then the profile images. Okay. So let's create the path. So first thing first, I will import this part. I will import this path again from path module. Okay. Then I will say const upload directory. Okay, equals let's say the path dot join, and I will say the uploads, oops, not like this, uploads, then the images, and then the file name, that is profile underscore pic dot png, something like this. Then I will initialize another variable called file path, and I will simply use this path.join again, and not like this. Let's say I will First I will call this upload directory and dir, that is, and then I will paste this file name. So what if I log this upload directory and the file name or the file path? So let me first console.log and I will say uploaded directory. Then I will pass this upload dir. Again I will copy this line. I will paste multiple times. I will say over here, let's say it is the file path, okay? File path, and I will pass the file path. Then it is the file name, and I will simply use the base name method, and I will pass that file path, and I will pass this file path. And over here I will, let's say it is the extension, then I will also use the extname method and I will pass this file path. Now we have a proper file path and we can easily extract the different parts from it whenever we need them. And this becomes easily and especially useful when we are working with the file uploads. Later in this course, when we work with Cloudinary and other backend functionalities, you will see how file related concepts connect together. Now let's combine what we have learned today into one small example. First thing first, we import this OS module from the OS from the OS module. Then we see this platform architecture, CPU's length, the CPU's information, host name, home directory, temporary directory, okay, total memory, and then the free memory. And also we import this path from the path module. We initialize this file path, and we see this path.join, path.resolve, then the path.basename, path.directory name, then the extension name, and why we and when to use this path.parse and path.format. Yeah. So this is a very small example, but these are the kinds of building blocks we will keep using as the course becomes more advanced. So that is what I wanted you to understand today. The OS module is mainly about getting information about the environment where Node.js is running, and we can get the platform architecture, then the CPU information, memory information, host name, home directory, temporary directory, and many more. And the path module is about working with files and directories without manually worrying about operating system specific path formats. Okay. We learned this all of this join, resolve, base name, directory name, extension name, parse, format, and separate method. So don't worry if you don't remember every method right now. You don't have to memorize the entire Node.js API. What is important is that you understand what these modules are used for and know which something like a method to reach for when you need it. And that's it for today's video. In the next video, we will continue with another important concept in Node.js, that is timers. We will also look at a set timeout function, the set interval and set immediate functions also, and more importantly we will understand how these timers behave inside this Node.js and how they relate to the asynchronous execution. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Keep practicing the code yourself instead of just watching this video again and again, because That is where the real learning happens. I will see all of you in the next video. Happy coding.